All righty.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Record. And we can take it from there. Emily, I am
Tiffany,
going
do you
to
need
give
me to
you
push it
super
to-
cool co-host permissions as well.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, everybody. Well, I'm so excited to be here today. I truly love coaching and speaking to people about some of the stuff that I do. So it is an honor to be invited. I do have some fun stuff today. We're going to talk about AI, which has been a passion project of mine. So I do hope you'll have some great information. Just a couple of things before we get started. I am going to let you guys know when I'm ready for questions. This way you can ask questions about the topic as you're going, and I'll show you the prompt screen, what it looks like. Feel free to throw it in the chat, or you can raise your hand, or if you really want to, you can actually just yell out as well if I don't see either one of those, but I'm more than happy to answer questions as we're going. So awesome. So as we get started, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen and get it set up. And I do apologize in advance. I live in the country, so sometimes my internet is a little bit slow. So just bear with me on that. Okay, so today, like I said, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, and that's leveling up your social media with AI. And realistically, we're going to go over the top 5 tools that I use in my business to help level up not only in social, but also lead generation as well. But these are some of my favorite tools. Now, oftentimes, what I have found is that when it comes to AI, everybody is overwhelmed. There's 8 million different tools out there. There's plugins, there's instructions. You've got Bard, ChatGPT. You've got everything that you could possibly use. And because of that, there's a lot of noise and people get stuck in that noise. So I like to give some of the tools that I actually use in my daily business, and hopefully you can use some of them too. And also understand that this talk is about a mindset shift. So shifting your mindset into using some of these AI tools to help you instead of getting them to take over all your tasks. So before we get started, I know that sometimes people ask questions here, but sometimes they ask questions afterwards. And so the great news is that if you'd like, you can follow me on social media. This is a QR code to my Instagram channel. I answer all questions on Instagram. So if you're wanting to get in touch with me afterwards, this is the best place. And a little bit about me, I'm Coach Emily Terrell. I'm actually a Tom Ferry coach, as well as a real estate agent, a mom, a workout and beach enthusiast. So all of my social media channels are going to be centered around that. So what are we talking about today? We're obviously going to talk about the big one of ChatGPT. I'm also going to give you an alternative. I know this one's tom.ai, which is exclusive to Tom Ferry coaching clients. However, it's still a mindset shift of the different options that you have when it comes to AI, as well as we're going to talk about beautiful.ai, Opus Clip, Scribe, and Be Human. Now, when you see one of these windows pop up, this is the time for questions, because it means I'm going to be going on to the next topic. So I'll remind you guys when this shows up, just in case anybody has any questions, and we'll go from there. So let's get to the first one, ChatGPT. I do want to talk about the basics for you. So the first thing you need to think about are your custom chat instructions. Now, custom instructions are important because it helps give ChatGPT context. Now, we're going to be talking about context a lot throughout this presentation, but this is where you start. You're going to let ChatGPT know who you are. You're going to let him know maybe where you work, what you do, a topic that you love and could talk about for hours, and maybe some of your goals. You're just going to give ChatGPT information about yourself to help it understand. Now, here's the great thing. I have this QR code right down here at the bottom. You can scan that code, and I have an SOP, a standard operating procedure that walks you through exactly how to update your ChatGPT instructions. And then also at the end, I can give all of these to you, including a copy of the slides if you want them. You're just going to message me on Instagram, and I'll send those right over to you. But definitely check the QR codes because I do provide information there. Now, the other part that I consider one of the fundamental basics that you should look at within ChatGPT are the plugins. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of different plugins that you can use. Right now, the ones that are my favorite are going to be Canva, Link Reader, Access Google Sheets, and Short Video Trends. These are just to name a few of the plugins that are available to you through ChatGPT. Now, I do want to be clear. Plugins are used with the ChatGPT 4 options, which is the paid version, just so you're aware. Now, when I talk about these plugins and why that has its own AI, and this is true. Oops, sorry guys, going back a little bit. Canva does have its own AI, and you absolutely could use it. I focus on going from ChatGPT and using it as a search function within Canva, but you absolutely could do the opposite and search within Canva using its AI. I'm not against one form or the other. This is just the way that I do it, the way that I learn, and the way that works for me. So I'm going to go in this direction. So let's talk about this next option that I do have. Oh, and then if you went back to the QR code that also took you through exactly how to get that SOP. If you missed it, actually, I'll go right back to it. We do have, let's take in a second, but I can send that SOP to you to show you exactly how to get those different plugins onto your screen. Now let's talk about context. And this would be great. I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I want you to answer it. Just the first thing that pops to your mind. Don't overthink it. What color is the sky?
Blue.
Right. Almost every single person is going to answer blue. Now, sometimes I have someone's being smart and they'll say something like, it's clear or there's no color. But the answer that I'm most likely looking for is blue. Now, if you ask ChatGPT a question and you answer it just like I did, or ask it just like I did, or what color is the sky, you're going to get something similar, right? It's a good answer. It's not a wrong answer in any way, but it wasn't quite the answer that I was looking for. What if I asked you like this and I said, what color is the sky when you're facing west and it's partly cloudy? Or what color is the sky immediately after a rainstorm when it's still full of angry clouds and maybe a slight rainbow? Your answers, they're going to change significantly. And again, it's not that yours were wrong, but you're just going to give me something different because I gave you more context. You'll probably give me answers that are closer to these pictures right here. The oranges, the purples, or maybe the dark blue, or maybe almost black. I'm from Texas. We get crazy weather. So you're going to give me a different answer. And again, neither answer was wrong. I just gave you more context. So ChatGPT, when it comes to providing information and context, you're going to want to provide more context. And the better you go with context, the better your answer is going to be. Because our goal within ChatGPT is to take your answers from a 6 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of work. So let's talk about how you can write Instagram captions on ChatGPT. Now, my recommendation, about 4 screens that are going to pop up, wait for them all to pop up, take a picture of the screen, or just wait for the slides. Either one works. But I definitely recommend that. But let's go through a prompt that I use that helps take my Instagram captions to a completely new level. So I start with this. I say, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to help me write a caption for Instagram. But first, ask me up to 10 questions. Now, the number of questions is irrelevant. You could say 5, 7, 20, doesn't matter. One at a time. It is important that you put one at a time. If you don't, I can ask you all 10 questions at once, and then you're going to be going back and forth trying to answer them. So 10 questions, one at a time, to help you understand my target audience and the context of my post. Again, I'm having ChatGPT ask me for context. Now, 100%, you can have a template already set up for that. I do recommend you get a template once you figure out some of the context you need to provide every single time. But if you don't, this is a great way to do it. Or, for example, if you're like me and I do it on my phone on a regular basis, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get that entire template ready to go and send it into your phone. So having it provide context, having to ask you questions to get context, and having a conversation with ChatGPT makes it easier. Now, the second part that says help you understand my target audience and the context of my post, those can be different. So if you're, let's say you're using ChatGPT to write a letter to a lender, thanking them for helping to sponsor an event or inviting them to help you sponsor an event, something like that. Then maybe you're going to have ChatGPT help, you're going to have them ask you 10 questions to help them understand the relationship that you have with that lender, and also more about the event you're asking them to sponsor. Right? So what you ask them to get context on can change depending on what you're doing. Now, after you ask them to look at the content, you're going to just answer the questions. It's pretty simple. Now, here's the great thing. Remember when we gave ChatGPT custom instructions? These questions will be tailored to the answers that you give. So for example, I speak for the company, I speak at conferences. So that I talk about that in my ChatGPT instructions. So anytime it's asking me questions, it always references back to that, and it changes it questions based on what I like to speak about and some of my goals long term. So it tailors that information based on the context that you give it. And then last but not least, once you're going through this, if you need to edit the caption, I like longer captions that are spaced out with emojis. It gets people to read them. And then my reel in the background can keep going over and over again while they're reading the caption. So I'm going to ask it to space it out a little bit longer and add all of those emojis to it. So let's talk about an option. Now, I know that a lot of you guys know, or you may or may not, but there's actually different options when it comes to the interface that you use, right? ChatGPT is the most common one. Google has Bard, which is another option, as well as if you are a Tom Berry coaching client, they have an internal system called Tom.ai. Now, each system has different functions and they work a little bit differently. So I want to show you something that I do with my social media. Now, I do it within Tom.ai, but that doesn't mean you can't do it in other places. The one place I've tried and I haven't gotten it to work yet, though, is ChatGPT, which is why I show it as an example of somewhere else. So what I recommend is going in and using AI to help analyze your social media profiles. I'm going to give you some prompts here. It is a sequence of prompts, so you can either write them down or wait till the end and take a picture, or just get all the slides because you'll have them there as well. But this is how I start out. I start with the question of acting as a social media strategist. Please review my Instagram profile, and I provide the link, and tell me who you think my intended audience is. Now, why is this important? Because your intended audience should be your local buyers and sellers. It should be your sphere of influence. If you find out that AI thinks that your intended audience is bankers in New York, well, that's a problem unless you only work with bankers in New York. So you want to make sure that the content you're putting out matches with the audience that you think you're going after. Next, I ask it in the same thread. I do ask it, what do you feel my content pillars are? I like to travel. I like to talk about fitness, and I like to eat. So I do post a lot about food, traveling, and working out. I use it in a lot of my B-roll, but I don't have a fitness channel. I don't have a travel channel, and I don't have a food channel. I have a coaching real estate channel. So I want to make sure that my content pillars match with what I think they are. I don't want to accidentally find out that I only talk about my children 75% of the time. That doesn't fit with what I'm trying to accomplish on Instagram. So I want to make sure that my content pillars match what I think they do. In addition to that, you can dive down into those content pillars and find out what 3 topics I mention the most. So my top content pillar is real estate coaching and training, which is great. It's exactly where I want it to be. But I like to find out what my top 3 topics are, just to make sure that I'm reaching out the most to who my intended audience is. And it also helps me figure out what I'm leaning towards the most and what my clients are saying on repeat. After that, I asked it a little bit more, again, trying to figure out where I'm at. What percentage of my profile do you feel is, now I said something different, but I'm putting it in context for you guys. What do you feel is dedicated to educating buyers and sellers? Here's the reason why I would recommend doing something like that. If you primarily represent sellers, do you feel that you should probably educate sellers the most? What if you found out that the majority of your content is geared towards buyers? It's not really matching who your target audience is. You're not really matching that content that you want to put out because you're gearing towards a different buyer pool or a different seller pool. So you want to make sure that whoever you think you're going after is who you're truly going after. So finding out to make sure how much content you're actually putting out to your niche is going to be important to understanding your channel. And then last but not least, figuring out how you rank compared to your competitors. Especially if there's someone that you admire that's doing social media on a completely different level. This is where I recommend having them review your competitors and then figuring out what opportunities, what they're doing that you're not, ways for you to improve. I'm a big fan of the theory of R&D, rip off and duplicate. There's not really very many original thoughts out there. And in reality, I didn't actually come up with all the thoughts. I just organized myself to be able to tell you it. However, then that's what you want to do, is you want to look at what your competitors are doing and not copy them exactly, but at least learn from them and learn what misses you have. Now, one activity that one of my other coaches gave to me the other day, and I thought it was great, was to look at the homes that are for sale in your farm that you didn't list and run this exercise with those agents to finding out why they're getting those listings and you're not. There's something they did. And let's find out if it's social media. Let's find out if they are on social media and they're doing a better job and getting people to know, like, and trust them in a way that you're not. Because as we know, people, when they buy or sell a house, they're going to use the agent that's closest to them, the one that's closest in proximity. That just means the person that's, yes, I can put the complete list again at the very end. I'll open up that slide for you guys. But this is going to be the person that's right in front of them. It's similar to how you buy or sell a car. You just walk onto the lot. The first person that walks up to you, they're your guy or girl. Similar to what happens as real estate agents. I'm not going to talk a buyer or seller into buying or selling. What I am going to do is when they're ready to buy or sell, I want to be in front of them because that's who is going to be the one that they choose, the person that's right there. And by the way, that applies to everybody, including family members. So I always like to stay top of mind, and figuring out why I wasn't top of mind with people in my farm, especially if you're farming them really well, is important to understand why you didn't win when you're providing content. Okay, so let's go back through that slide. If anybody wants to snap a quick picture, we can right before we go on to the next topic of it. Okay. So let's talk about, what do you feel like the limiting factor is for using any AI, ChatGPT, Bard, Tom.ai? Does anybody understand what that limiting factor is? It's actually a really easy concept. It's your imagination. So I get a lot of responses where people say, oh, but ChatGPT isn't updated since, I think it's like May of 2022. That's an irrelevant factor. It doesn't matter. Because if you learn to ask the right questions and provide the right context, you're going to get the answers that you want. And if it can't give it to you, you find another service, such as Bard, to do something similar, to ask the questions just in a different way. realistically, the only thing that's stopping us from fully using AI to its extent is not having the mindset to ask it every time and then to figure out what's better in the context that we provide so that we can have the best information possible. All right, so at this point, if anybody has any questions, we're about to pop onto that screen that asks any questions. I know I kind of rapid fired a lot of information to you guys, so if anybody has any questions, now would be a great time to ask it. If not, we're gonna go on to beautiful.ai. Perfect. Okay, well, it actually went into it right away. Okay, great. So let's talk about beautiful.ai. I love this technology because as you can see, this is within the presentation and it's actually throwing up a website that's interactive within the presentation. Now, if you haven't figured it out already, my entire presentation today was set up using complete AI the entire way. And I'll give you an example of how I did all of that through the end. But let's talk about how you can use a presentation tool like this within your business, right? So believe it or not, oh, and I have it, I can show you guys. So the bottom one is a listing presentation that's done in Breakthrough Broker, right? It's free, it's a great template, you can use it. People do. I've gone to so many listing presentations over the years, and I've seen those when people show me my competitors because I like to ask, right? Or just to give you guys some context of where I started as a real estate agent. This right here was the very first listing presentation someone made for me, right? This right here. I actually paid money to go to a class. And you know what? At the time, this was a really great thing that they could provide to me. I was also like 2 weeks into the business, so I didn't know. This is probably one of my favorites, right? It was great. It also, I've come a long way. Now, since then, I do these amazing books right here. They're really pretty. It gives my clients something tangible. Here's the problem. While these are pretty, almost as soon as I had them printed, ooh, somebody's on. Okay, great. As soon as we had these printed, I wanted to change things, right? Even in here where it talks about my social, I do social completely different now in a better, more effective way. So everything in here needs to be updated. And these are only about 1.5 years old. They're not very old. While pretty, they went out of date so fast because they needed to be updated. So I like to create custom listing presentations for every single one of my clients. And I do that through beautiful.ai. So we're going to go over some examples of what I do, or just a few slides that I like to use. So it is interactive. You can create it as a PDF. What I like to do is get it downloaded as a PDF, send it over to my printer, and have it printed just right there the day of, pick it up on the way to the listing appointment, and have a nice hardback so I can have something similar to the second example that I showed you guys. And I can have it printed and ready to go so that if they are a kinesthetic communicator, which means they're someone that needs to have something in their hands, they've got an example of it. But I also like to customize it by pulling up very specific videos that I do that are similar to the houses that I'm selling. And what's helpful with that is now I'm walking in and I'm saying, hey, I can sell your house. Here's one that I already sold. Okay, so I'll have a video that's very similar to their house. Now, I do get questions of sometimes people are like, well, what if I haven't sold a house that's exactly like the one that's there? Well, you can also work with circumstances. So for example, I work a lot with expireds. So if I have a property that's exactly like the house that I'm going to list, I'm just going to pull up another expired. And I'm going to pull up that expired and show them the circumstance. I'm going to give the seller context of why they should work with me. And pulling up another expired is a great way to do that. Pulling up maybe a listing from your brokerage is also a great way to do that. Maybe a partner, your team, anybody that you can use. It's going to be a great way to give context with what you're doing. Plus, what are you saying to those sellers? You're telling them, hey, I can do this. because I've already done it. Here's an example. And they resonate a little bit better with you because you're able to give them a better example or idea of what you're doing. So in addition to that, I did already show you guys the interactive websites that you can provide. So I can show them single listing pages, and I can show them stuff within my CRM so that they can actually see and interact with the videos and the pages as I'm going. Now we're going to go back. The third one is actually probably one of my favorites. So at this point, are there any questions that people have? I know I've went over a lot of stuff and sometimes it's a little bit technical. So if you have any questions, let me know. All right, so I'm not seeing anything come up in the chat, so we'll keep going. So the next one I love to talk about is Opus Clip. Oh, nope, we do actually have someone in the chat. Oh, perfect. Lizette, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question. I'm always following people on Instagram and they're using AI to do pictures and like you know, for example, I've seen pretty cool stuff. So do you use some of that AI into your work?
Yeah, so Opus Clip is actually going to be the very next one.
Okay, all right.
To do that, yeah. So Opus Clip is a really amazing tool that we can use to utilize. You can also create it. There are tools such as the plugins that you can use for, like, for example, ChatGPT and Canva, right? So what you can do is you can actually go through, or Canva Magic, you can go through with ChatGPT and have it, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but you can have it build out, like, for example, 30 days of content, provide it to you in a table format, and then you can have it actually recommend templates within Canva to create all this. Now, here is one thing that I'm going to give you. This is my little soapbox. Personally, I'm not a fan of an Instagram profile or Facebook profile full of Canva templates. I am 99% video, and I do video that provides a way for people to know, like, and love me, or know, like, and trust me, because they get a sense of who I really am. And for me, that works better, and I get a lot more interaction because I have people that are actually getting to see the real me through B-roll and through information that I provide, more than just Canva templates and pictures. However, if that's what you're doing, I definitely recommend, some is better than nothing, but if you really want to dive into it, I recommend video over pictures. You can do some pictures with carousel, but I would have at least 5 days worth of video on there and then just add in 2 days of carousel. That's going to be my recommendation for it.
Okay.
So hence the reason why I don't talk about it quite that much is because that's going to be the way I work it, is going to be primarily video. Now, how many people, and I can't see all the hands raised, but I'm assuming, we'll just make an assumption here, that at least some of you are doing longer form video that you've done probably for years, and it's on YouTube, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'd love to reuse this content, but I don't have the time to clip it all up. Or you're like me, I don't edit anything myself, at least as far as the more complicated stuff. I don't edit anything. I'm okay at it. I'm not great. I can pay someone off of Upwork to edit it for me. But even still, what I was having a problem with before I found Opus Clip was that the editors wanted me to go to my videos and tell them the timestamps to clip it out. And that takes a long time. That takes time for me to watch and mark it down and sit down and edit it. It was too much time, so I didn't reutilize my content. So I'll tell you guys a quick story. 3 years ago, during COVID, I had a renter. They trashed one of my rentals. I mean, bad, right? Couldn't get them out because it was COVID and they didn't pay for 11 months, but couldn't get them out because we had no evictions. But eventually I did get them out. Actually, it's a long story, but eventually I did get them out. We'll just say that. And I went and checked the house out and it was absolutely destroyed. So back then I did a Facebook Live. And my Facebook Live got something like 35,000 views. It was nuts. So I found a website and I downloaded that video and I put it onto YouTube. And since then, it's gotten like 28,000 views, which is great. So when I found Opus Clips, it was absolutely the very first video that I put into Opus Clip to get clips out for me. So let me show you how it works, because I love it. for repurposing content. It's my favorite, absolute favorite tool that I use when I go to repurpose a lot of my content. So Opus Clip took this video just to give you guys some context. It's rough. My video was pretty rough. Remember, it started off as a Facebook Live, which it goes on for 11 minutes. I won't make you guys watch it. It's cringy. So I took this video and I put it into Opus Clip. Hey, by the way, also QR code in the corner. I have a standard operating procedure with pictures of exactly how to do Opus Clip. It's very simple, but if you want a standard operating procedure, it's right there. So I took my link, I put it into Opus Clip, and it gave me reels, 41-second reel. That, by the way, they score. So it gives you a 99 score. And it tells you why this video effectively grabs viewers' attention with a compelling hook and discusses common issues of problematic tenants. Keep going. Then it does this awesome thing, and it gives you the transcript right here of what you're saying in that video. It also adds these fun captions on here, which you can edit, by the way. You can edit, you can remove the caption. So if your videos already have captions hardwired into them, you can definitely take it out if need be. And then you can watch the video within here as well. Okay, so you can go through and watch these videos. The cool thing is that I've taken the link from this video, I think 4 times, and put it into Opus Clip, and I've gotten different clips every single time. Now, how many clips does it provide me? In this example, it gave me 11. Now I'm going to say this. Am I going to use all 11 clips? No, not at all. It's AI. So sometimes it gets some weird, the clips don't make sense, right? But if I use 6 out of 10, that is an absolute win for me, because Opus Clip is $20 a month, or there's a free trial option where you have 90 minutes. You have 90 minutes of free video time. So like this video was 11 minutes, it used 11 minutes of it. So if you don't have a ton of older content or bigger content that you want to repurpose, go use the free version, because this is what it gives you in the free version. I wanted to test out the free version for you guys. So in here, it's going to provide this for me. Now, what I do with this content afterwards is I take it into something like Loomly. Now, I'm just saying the word Loomly because it's what I use. You can use any repurposing tool out there, Hootsuite, Later, Social Sprout, everything. There's everything. But I use Loomly, and then I get to repost that content in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, Google My Business. You've got options, but it's a great way to do it at one time. And then this way, let's pretend it's a fantastic world and all 11 of those clips work. I can then take all 11 of those clips and spread it out. And I've got about a week and a half of content. Now, personally, me, I spread them out longer to draw the story out. And then I always, if people ask me questions, I refer them back to my original YouTube video so that they can have more context. That is one thing that you have to watch for, is sometimes it takes what you say out of context. So it's really important that you either provide a caption that explains it, or you're ready for some backlash. I'll tell you why. So my entire video is about tenants that completely destroyed my property. Now, in the state of Texas, our leases are already written stating that if I'm going to inspect the property, I actually am not required to provide any notice as long as I'm going in peacefully and only to take pictures for inspection purposes. It's commonly thought you are required to provide 24-hour notice, but our leases actually don't say that, and it's not something that I wrote in. However, the clip that I put up that where I mentioned that, it's out of context. People didn't watch the entire rest of the video. So on YouTube, I absolutely got crucified. Luckily, though, I just sent them to the other video. And on TikTok, too, I had a lot of hate there, which that's okay for me. But they did do very, very well because it was something that was out of context and needed more explanation. So if you do something like that, make sure you do provide that context to your viewers. Because going viral is great, but if you go viral for the wrong reason, it can completely tank your account. So just kind of be prepared that if you do get something out of context like I did, now mine was also a product of the video that I used, but if you do get it, just make sure that you're aware and you're providing more content. Mine was an exciting day when I woke up the next day and I was just flooded on every social platform with that. So, okay. So Opus Clip is a great tool to help reuse content. I reuse content all of the time, especially when it comes to B-roll. All of my B-roll is reused. If you really look and go through my social media platforms, you're going to see the same videos, same workout videos that I've been using for years. So let's go to the next one. We're going to go to Scribe. Now, Scribe is a great tool. If you've been scanning my QR codes, guess what you've already gotten? Bunch of SOPs that I created in Scribe. Now, why is this helpful? Let's say that you're going to start hiring a VA to start editing your videos and reposting for you. How amazing would it be to use Scribe to help provide them with SOPs on how to do it? So for example, here's how to do a YouTube video on Opus Clip. You go to YouTube, you click the share button. From here, you're going to click copy on the link. Then you're going to go to, Opus Clip. Once you go to Opus Clip, you're going to click the button that says start clipping. Then you're going to paste the link. You can also upload videos here if you don't have them on YouTube. And then you're going to click that button. It takes, I think like 15 minutes, right? So in this case, my case, it tells me it's going to use less than 12 credits. Now this Scribe was created, as you can see, within 14 seconds, which is the same amount of time it took me to just go through the process. Now it's super simple. If you look up here, you've got this little add-on right here to my Google Chrome. You just click the button and you can probably see it. I think I can share it. It'll float when I share it. You click the button and it'll start scribing for you. You just click record and then it goes through record your video. And then within seconds after recording your video, it's going to create this SOP, which you can absolutely link and share to people. Or you can go through and download it as a PDF. So when you're looking to hire somebody or you're looking to train, creating scribes saves you on time. And it provides standard operating procedures with pictures. So for example, if you're hiring that VA, you can definitely go through and walk them through the process and record videos on Zoom, but you can also create a scribe for them. This way, if they're stuck on something, and keep in mind, this could be an in-person assistant or anybody. If they're stuck on something, they can check out the scribe to look at information. Then if they don't get that, any of your other backup forms, such as doing a Zoom video or Googling how to do it before they come to bother you. This way, they've got several resources to look at to help make your job and their job easier. So my favorite so far, once I discovered what it was, everything goes into Scribe now. And I provided so many scribes. There's a free version and there's a paid version. My recommendation are always to use the free version, A, to make sure you're going to use the tool, and then B, you're going to use it until you realize you need the pro version because of some of the features that it includes. But so far for me, free version has worked perfectly fine. Okay. So last but not least, we're going to get to Be Human. And if anybody has any questions, just put it up in the chat or raise your hand and I'll be able to answer that. But if not, we're going to go to one of the coolest tools that I have seen so far. It's called Be Human. Now, I'm sure everybody here is aware that AI has actually gotten to the point where they can clone your face and they can clone your mouth, or at least your voice. They actually can clone your eyes and do AI-powered eyes, and then they can also do mouth movements. And Be Human is a tool that uses it. So how many people create operating procedures or automatic videos or text messages that they send out to their buyers or sellers telling them the next step in the process? Yep. So how amazing would it be if you took those to a new level and every single one of those videos was customized to the person? And every single time it said, "Hi, Tom. I wanted to let you know the next step in the process." And then the next person gets, "Hi, Tiffany. I wanted to tell you the next step in the process. Hi, DJ." But you're not having to create those videos every time. What if you created one template and then just got to put their name in there to create the next one? Oh, for Jeffrey, the question was, how do I spell this service? I manage my posting. It's Loomly, Loomly. Just Loomly. It's really self-explanatory, and it's got an app on your phone, so you can post on the fly. I'm a big fan of being able to do everything on my phone, so I needed one that had a great app that was easy to work with. Okay, so with Be Human, there are two ways to get into Be Human. One is the free version. Now, the free version, the only bad thing about it is they have templates that they've created. You're required to use those. In the paid version, you create your own. So if you're going to play around with it to see how it can fit into your business, do it with the free version first before you go and add in the paid version. But let me show you what they look like so you can understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so great use of putting a website that's interactive within this presentation. Okay, so this is Be Human. Now it's just the letter B and then human, just Be Human. So this is one of their templates that they created. That's just a lead check-in. This person is just checking in with the lead. So that's the templated video. It just comes in, says hi, name, and then it tells you what the variables are. Name. So in this case, I created one. Oh, it's going to open right into Vimeo. I'm going to close it out because we just want to preview this. Okay, so this is the video that I created as a sample. So as you can tell, I modified and put Jason's name in there so that I could create a customized video to send to him and to be able to use throughout it. Now, what I've been using these for, which has been really awesome, it expired. Because now what I'm doing is creating variables for things like name, as well as the address that I want to use. And I'm going to provide those videos to people throughout my process. Now, the way I do my expireds, and I'll do a very quick tutorial of it. My expireds come from my lead source. I take those lead sources, throw them into Follow Up Boss, and then I have an automatic action plan that starts. I send a few text messages, some emails, and I remind myself to call. But I also have task reminders to send out those videos. The great news is I can sit down in my sweats and I don't have to get ready for the day to send out all of these videos. I just look, make sure the house hasn't been relisted, and then send it out. Now I say because you better believe it, I get the team to do it. And my team is able to sit down, and I'm not having to create up to 25 videos every single day. I'm creating videos that are going to be used over and over and over again, but I create them one time. So I'm not having to redo anything. Again, I'm repurposing that content. So imagine also being able to do this within social media, anywhere that you're looking to do, where you're trying to reuse and repurpose content on a repeat basis. All right, so let's get through some of the final thoughts that I have, and then we're going to go through and answer any questions because I've given a lot of information to you guys. So let's talk about maybe some of the ways that AI can help in your business. Now, remember I told you that your imagination is what's limiting you? Very true. It's really within yourself of what you can do to your business. That's going to be the limiting factor for yourself. So here are some thoughts and some ideas and some processes that you can go through with using AI. So for example, expired data. If you use some of the plugins that I showed you on ChatGPT, you can download all of the expireds from the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year. You could then create a scribe telling a VA how to find the list date, because you're going to have your expired, and then you put the list date there, and then you're going to use ChatGPT. Yes, you can use Excel, but I'm being extra lazy and I want everything analyzed within AI now for myself. So I'm going to have, ChatGPT analyze that data, finding when are people truly relisting? Are they relisting primarily 3 to 5 days after they went expired? Or are they relisting up to 6 months later? And what that does is it allows me to really pinpoint when majority of the people are relisting. I'm going to change my expired campaign to match with that. I'm going to start if I find out that most people that 60% of the list relist around day 60, then I'm going to start really hitting them hard at day 40 or even day 45. So that again, I'm the closest agent to them when they finally make the decision to relist, because I want to be the closest in proximity. You can also, if you guys are coaching clients and you have access to the 100K and 100 days booklet, and by the way, if you go and check my Instagram, you can look through it. I put all these scripts up there. You can use some of these scripts. I've actually started using with my expired circle prospecting scripts. I found it worked a lot better instead of the normal expired scripts. I'm telling them about houses that have sold in their area, and they always have the same reaction. It's kind of funny. They say in their mind, I can imagine them doing this going, what the hell? My didn't house sold, but John and Sheila's did. Our house is way better than John and Sheila's, right? Like, that's the thought process. It's like, wait a second, why didn't mine? So I'm just calling them with information. Plus, I am so different from the normal script that they get that it's refreshing. And I get people that tell me that all the time when they call me. They have 0 interaction with me, and then they call me. Okay, so what about social media to post it to interaction, right? This is a little bit more high level, but you can ask ChatGPT to ask you questions to figure out who your ideal real estate client is, and then figure out what their fears and worries are in your local market, because every local market is going to be different. I'm in San Antonio. We are known as Military City, USA, because we have a constant influx of military in and out from our 3 bases, right? 3 bases and a training ground. We are full of military, and plus we are a retirement city for military. We have a very healthy population. So my fears and worries are going to be absolutely different than yours, right? So then, after I get all that information in the context, I want ChatGPT to create 15 short questions that I can ask and answer on Instagram, right? Now, sometimes I change it up and I say, and keep it spicy, but it just kind of depends, or controversial, or, depending on how I want my questions to be. Now, this is an important step. Within ChatGPT, there are threads. Keep this on one thread, because you can rename this thread to something like Instagram questions. And then when you run out of those 15 questions, and by the way, 15 is just the number I picked. It doesn't matter. You can do 25, 10, but you can go back to that same thread and you can say, give me 15 more questions. Give me 10 more questions. Give me 15 questions geared toward buyers. Give me 15 questions geared toward sellers. Same thing. And then guess what? When the market shifts, because it always does, you can go back in that thread and say, the market has shifted. Please ask me 10 questions to help you, one at a time, to help you understand how my intended audience, how their fears and worries have changed with the market that's updated. So then guess what? It asks you more questions, and then you rinse and repeat. Then you can go into ChatGPT in a new thread and use maybe a plugin like short video trends to help determine the trends that are in your area to create the most effective videos. And then from there, you use Loomly to post. As I mentioned earlier, you can compare your competition. What if we analyzed expired data and found all the people that listed those expireds? And then you went through and used, ChatGPT, Bard, any of the different services, and found out how you were comparing to your competition. In addition to that, I love it for analyzing the most likely to sell, figuring out what the common characteristics are of the homes that are selling in my area, because there are home selling, just not that many right now. So I want to figure out, is there something that's common? You know, is it people that have owned their house an average of 2 to 5 years, right? Is it all of a sudden only 2 stories that are selling? Or is it one neighborhood over another? I want to figure out who is selling, and then maybe target those specific people. So if you can't afford to do 1,000-person farm, but you figure out that it's really about 300 people that are most likely to sell, you can put more effort into those 300 instead of 1,000. There's a concept of doing 20% of the work that's going to get you 80% of the business. So figuring out what's actually working and focusing on that, because it takes less time to do about 80% of your business, but you're using a lot less time. So analyzing what's going on and targeting people most likely to sell is going to be one of the days to do that. And then if you are really getting into it and you want to start using some Zapier, same thing, depending on how you say it, you can actually add Zapier to ChatGPT to have it automatically respond to your Google My Business reviews, pair it with mini chat to respond to messages, and so on and so forth. It can actually interact with all of your content, all of your comments, and everything that you have on social media. But keep in mind, you do actually have to have social media posted and content put up in order for AI to really interact with it. But it is a great way to get some of those contents and comments and everything interacted with so that you're not having to manage it every single time. Okay, so I just threw a ton of content at you guys, and a lot of stuff. Hopefully you took lots of notes. I talk really fast, sorry. So does anybody have any questions? More than happy to answer. Go ahead.
I need more of an explanation, forgive me, on Scribe. Is Scribe the application that you're using to create instructions?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
so the QR codes that you scanned took you to a link, and it said, here's how you create custom instructions in ChatGPT, right? And it had pictures, and it just was a step-by-step. All I did was click the plugin, click start recording, and I just did it. I just actually went in and updated my ChatGPT instructions. When I hit stop recording, Scribe automatically created that SOP for me. So if you hire an assistant and you're like, oh, I need to train them how to do this, just do it once. Record yourself, boom, go through there.
Thank you.
All right, Rich.
So 2 things. First question is the basic Chat GPT, the free version, right? Versus GPT-4, which you pay for. What's the benefit of paying? Just as from a basic level.
So if you pay, you always have access to the latest. And so if you always have access to the latest, as it's updated, as the information is updated, you're going to have access to it. Because if you notice, if you've been on ChatGPT since the beginning, right, since that beginning iteration, it started out and it would take 30 seconds to respond. And as more and more, it's learning from the information that's provided. So I always want to have access to the most updated information.
And
so that's why I'm always going to use the most current version.
And
that makes sense.
And it's also true, I believe, Rich, because I just signed up for the paid version a couple weeks ago. Zapier, some of these other add-ons, you're not paying for. It's included in your subscription to ChatGPT.
Yep. A lot of the plugins are, some of the plugins you do have to pay for individually, depending on what it is, but a lot of them are included with there. So you can actually include that. I mean, you can do stuff a little bit faster. Plus at the beginning, I started paying for it because in the beginning, when it was super bogged down, if you had the pro version, you always got in every time.
Got it. Okay. Second question I had was a text message that I got from somebody that was on here that was like, oh my God, so much information. Where do I start?
So start with where you're at. Figure out what you're doing in your system, and then figure out where AI can fit in. Most of the time, what people need help with, and their biggest thing that they ask for help with, is they can provide content. They don't know what to provide. So if you're going to start anywhere, start with the prompts that I provided to help you figure out the 15 questions that you can ask and answer on Instagram or Facebook. It doesn't really matter where you're going, but start with those, providing that content if that's where you are. If you already have that and you want to move to the next level, then do that. But I would definitely start with those questions to help get you into where you need to be. So Tom.
Yes, thank you. You know what, Emily, thank you so much. You're a coach and you took the time to pour into us. We appreciate it. And
You're welcome.
I'm just blown away, and I'm glad that this is recorded. For anybody on here that wants to go back to the recording, go into Workplace on the community. So Emily, if there's anything that you want to drop in there or anything.
Oh yeah, perfect.
I know I'm going to have to go back there and watch it, pause it, watch it, pause it. And then,
Oh
like
yeah.
I said, what are the 1 or 2 things that I can implement today and take action on? And then when I master that or get good at that, come back to it again and do it, do something else. So thank you for pouring into us today. It means a lot. You've made a massive impact today.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, TJ.
I just want to say, wow, you've been amazing. It is.
Thank you.
I think it'll take me another 20 years to figure out what you said, but it is, I just spent the whole morning on GPT doing some things for recruiting, and it's just magic. And so, and you just made it even more magical. So thank you so much. And anything that you can give us that we can put into the community, that would be awesome. We would love it.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm for sure going to send you guys a link. I'll send an email to all the slides so they can go through and check through, because I did include stuff in there. And then always anybody can reach out to me on Instagram. It's just Coach Emily Terrell. Just reach out to me on Instagram. I'm absolutely I answer questions all day long on it. So I'm open to it. I do coach. So if anybody is interested in anything more, I know it's a little bit of a shameless plug, but if anybody's interested in coaching, I also do speak. So I do this stuff all day. I speak for people. I actually have 2 to do tomorrow. So it is something that can happen if it's larger teams or, anybody else that's interested. I'm absolutely more than welcome to talk to anybody about setting up times to come in and going in more depth onto smaller subjects for you guys too.
And if somebody wanted to reach out for a coaching consultation with you, just reach out to you through your Instagram or?
Yep.
Okay.
That's 100% the easiest way. And I'll tell you why. I get about 75 text messages a day and I miss them sometimes. So I miss those. So I actually like them on Instagram because they're really easy to stay on top of and I can answer the questions right away. So awesome. And actually I've seen some of my clients have actually shown up on the meeting today. So I'm super excited for you guys to join in. I made sure I sent it out to them earlier this week so they could come in and watch me.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, I actually have to go to my coaching calls next. But if y'all do need anything, just reach out to me and we'll make sure I get any questions answered. And I'll be providing the link here shortly so you guys can put it up in your group.
Great. Thank you so much.
Fabulous.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Emily.
And thank everybody for showing up. And tell your friends. We'd love about next week. I know, crazy.
Hey, God, whoever that, DJ, this is all credit to you, right? Because this is your call.
No, Rich turned me on to her, and
that's what we're here for as a
Wonderful
team.
class.
We're here as a team to bring things together. Amazing, awesome. The content related to the industry and the content to so you get somebody that doesn't like to lead generate and make cold calls. There's so many different things that she shared that we can say to others, hey, go back and watch this video. And then to make shorts and reels, well, I already sent the VA a message. Tiffany, you probably already seen that. If we can get reels from our videos, how awesome is that too? So this is your call. I'm gonna mute myself and just thank you for this organizing this with Rich today. It's been awesome.
Thank you. It's been a great week. Don't forget, Tuesday, we have a sales rally, and then next Thursday, who do we have on? I've forgotten, Dave.
We have Barbara Pike Gonzalez, who is she's the founder of a PR firm, and she's going to talk to us about personal branding. So tune in. It should be pretty good. She has a lot of clients that are agents, so she's an expert.
Fantastic.
Yes, marketing is so important, and branding is different than marketing, and you need to know how to brand yourself, right? So show up. All right, I guess we're
Thanks,
done.
everybody.
Turn off the recording if you would, Tiff.